You know who can never seem to get along? Brands. Yes, brands. They're always competing and fighting with each other, and you see, I don't like that. I want them to be friends. So in this video, I will be taking their logos and combining them together. And you may be asking, is that going to fix anything between them? And the answer is no. No, they're still going to extremely hate each other, but the results might look cool. So let's get started. First up, we have a really famous rivalry, McDonald's and Burger King. And the idea is simple. McDonald's plus Burger King equals, well, I'm not sure yet, but I'll put that equation up in the corner so I can use it as a reference as I work on it. So the first thing I did was take the McDonald's logo and used it as a base. Then I started taking elements from the Burger King logo and slapping it on top of the McDonald's logo. After that, I made a rectangle to cut the bottom part of the McDonald's M. With the remaining piece, I filled out the empty spaces to make a solid shape. This new shape would then be the top bun. So I rounded off the corners to match the roundness of the rest of the logo. Next, I started working on the text. For this logo fusion, I decided to call it Donald King. So I replaced the word Donald with Burger. And since I couldn't find the exact font that Burger King uses in their logo, I decided to use one that kinda looks like it, and then I just switched out a few letters with the original logo so that it matches better. And I also went in there and started tweaking the curves and the roundness of some letters, and that really made it all look like it was part of the same font family. The last little thing I did was figure out the spacing, and with that, the logo was finished. Now we have the answer to our equation. McDonald's plus Burger King equals Donald King. Overall, the whole design process was pretty simple and the end result doesn't look too crazy, but the whole shape of it does kind of remind me of something. The next two competing brand logos that we'll be combining are YouTube and Twitch. So let's put those logos into the equation and let's get started. This time, the first thing that I started off with was the text. I ended up calling this brand combination YouTwitch.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Anyway, I typed out the new name in the font that YouTube uses for their logo, and immediately I felt like something was off. I noticed that the W made a weird triangular negative space between the T and the I, and the rest of the letters made a more rectangular negative space. You can also see that in the original YouTube logo. So I took the U from the logo and duplicated it so I could make my own custom W. I plugged that back into the logo type, fixed up the spacing a bit, and now the negative spaces look a little bit more uniform. Once the letters were looking good, I started working on an outline stroke so that it matched the style of the Twitch logo. Then I noticed that the T wasn't quite at the same height as the rest of the letters, so I just grabbed a few vector points and dragged them up until it met at the top. I then duplicated the outline stroke, dragged it down, and made it a bit smaller so that I could start working on the 3D effect. I connected the corners, and that's what really gave it that 3D effect that the Twitch logo has. Next, I started working on the little icon. So I duplicated the YouTube play button so I could use it as a base. Then I squashed it down to fit the shape of the Twitch icon. Then I duplicated it again so I could use it to make the shapes of the eyes. After that, I gave it the same effect as the rest of the logo, which means just giving it an outline stroke and then duplicating that so that it could give it that 3D effect. Then all that was left to do was fix the sizing and spacing, and with that, the logo was finished. YouTube plus Twitch equals YouTwitch. I feel like with this logo, I was able to get a better mix of both the YouTube and the Twitch logo, and even though the styles don't mix all that much, I still kinda like it. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, a rivalry so classic, so awesome, that I knew that for this logo, I couldn't just take elements of each one and slap them together. No, I had to do a sketch. So I opened up Photoshop, thought of my idea, and started sketching it out. I knew that I couldn't let down this classic rivalry, so I kept sketching and sketching, and this is what I came up with.
What the hell? Oh my god, no way.
Okay, my throat hurts from doing that crazy voice from before. Anyways, I threw away that ugly ass sketch and started on a new one. This time my idea was to take the Coca-Cola text and try to fit it on top of the Pepsi icon. I decided to call this logo fusion Coca-Pepsi. So the top red part of the icon will be the Coca text, and then the bottom blue part will be the Pepsi text. And this is what the sketch came out like. This is definitely my first try. There was no other sketches, and there's no need to think of any other sketches.
Leave me alone!
So I imported that sketch back into Illustrator and lowered the opacity so I could vectorize it. I vectorized the C from scratch because I thought it would just be easier to do that instead of trying to mold it into place. But the O, the C, and the A from the original Coca-Cola logo, I cut them out and I started to modify those so that they fit the shape of my sketch a bit better. Then I started working on the tail for the A and the hyphen as well. The last step was to vectorize the Pepsi letters, and in comparison with the Coca-Cola letters, it was much easier. Finally, I just tweaked a few things here and there, and with that, our equation is finished. Coca-Cola plus Pepsi equals Coca-Pepsi. Overall, I don't really think this logo works aesthetically or that it would really work in the real world, but I think it's kinda cool, and that's all I really gotta say about it. The last combination we'll be doing today is Starbucks plus Dunkin' Donuts. For this one, I did a quick sketch in Illustrator to see if I could come up with some ideas of how I could combine these logos. And honestly, the sketch doesn't even look that bad. Just kidding, I opened up Photoshop and I started working on a more elaborate sketch. My goal here was to try to draw the Starbucks logo in the Dunkin' Donuts coffee cup style. One of the ways that I achieved this was by taking the Starbucks crown and changing the spikes for little swirls like they have on the steam coming off of the Dunkin' Donuts coffee cup icon. With the rough sketch done, I took that back into Illustrator to start vectorizing it. But before doing that, I decided to take the face from the original Starbucks logo so that I could trace over that since mine didn't come out that well. And honestly, that looked a bit creepy. Now I could actually start vectorizing. I started out by tracing out the face, and it was pretty simple since I only had to do one side and duplicate it to the other side since the logo is symmetrical. And I did pretty much the same for the rest of the body. The last thing I did with the icon was add the background colors and add the negative space for her tails. The last step was to work on the text. So I duplicated the word Dunkin' from the Dunkin' Donuts logo since that would stay the same. Then I wrote out Bucks in a similar font and started taking letters from the original logo so that it would fit in better with the font. I then changed the colors of the letters to match with the background of the icon, and that was pretty much it for the text. I was about to call it done, but luckily I remembered that Dunkin' Donuts has their initials on the coffee cup. So I did the same for mine. I duplicated the D and the B from Dunkin' Bucks and scaled it down and put it on the shirt of the icon. And the very last thing to do was to slightly tilt the icon to the left. And with that, our last equation is finished. Starbucks plus Dunkin' Donuts equals Dunkin' Bucks. This was the logo that took the longest to create, but I think it was worth it in the end because this is definitely my favorite out of all the other ones we did. I want to know what your favorite logo was, so let me know down in the comments. And while you're down there, leave some suggestions of what other competing brand logos I should combine. Thanks for watching. Bye.